up guys, and Furnape here. Now, I haven't done this video for a while, and I was thinking about making it into a series, but I didn't know if it would work out or not, but I just thought, why the hell not? I'm going to be carrying on my Pokemon tier lists. Now, these Pokemon tier lists are going to be rank all the regional Pokemon. So all the Pokemon from Kanto are going to be ranked. All the Pokemon from Johto, all the way from the first region to the most recent one. But I'm not going to be including in Galar region because not all of the Pokemon have been revealed yet. So I want to save that until all of the all of the Galar Pokemon have been revealed. So if you enjoyed this video as much as I did, be sure to let me know down in the comment section below. And if you think I've misplaced any of the Pokemon on this tier list, be sure to let me know down in the comment section below. Or if you get inspired to make your own Pokemon tier list on your channel, leave a link to it down in the comment section below, so that way I can have a look at them and see how I feel towards them. So without further ado, let's get into the video. Okay, so now we're going to be starting with Kanto. As you can see, all the tiers are going to be ranked differently. So, the higher the tier, the better, and the lower tier is the worst in my own opinion. As you can see in D tier, we've got quite a few obvious Pokemon that aren't really that popular amongst quite a lot of people. The main candidates in this tier list definitely has to be Mr. Mime, and maybe Dugtrio, because they're both weak, pathetic, and useless. In C tier, we've got quite a few weird candidates. I'm mainly like Beedrill, Kangaskhan for all their Mega Evolutions. I don't really care about the Pokemon in themselves, but I don't mind some of the Pokemon here. I like Executor. I like Blastoise, but to me, Blastoise is the worst Kanto starter in my own opinion. But it's still kind of cool. In B tier, which is like the middle tier, we've got Pidgeot, Nidoqueen, and Raichu, probably because I used them in the past, but I don't really use them anymore. And the same goes for Ninetales, Alakazam, Machamp, Gengar, and Golem, and also Flareon. I use Hitmonlee a few times, but I definitely use it the most over everyone in B tier. In A tier, we've got Arcanine because I adore Arcanine. It is such a cool Pokemon. Lapras because, well, who doesn't love Lapras? I really love how well it is in pretty much any playthrough that you can put it into. We have Nidoking because Nidoking is also really good in a playthrough. It's pretty badass, and it learns all sorts of great moves. Mewtwo because, well, Mewtwo is just so cool. And it is also really cool in its movie as well. Venusaur because Venusaur once actually used to be my favourite Kanto starter. And I definitely think it's really cool and has a special bond in my heart. We've got Gyarados because Gyarados is just so cool. Who doesn't love Gyarados? It's violent, it's cool, it's badass, and it can learn some really OP moves. And Jolteon's here because it's my favourite evolution out of the three in this region. And finally in S tier, we've got Snorlax, which is my favourite Kanto Pokemon. Snorlax is just so OP, and I really like how good it is in competitive, because it can learn all sorts of great moves, and it is in a decently tier in Smogon as well. And Charizard here because Charizard is my favourite Kanto starter, and the fact that it can Mega Evolve into two of the most powerful Mega Evolutions in the entire game. I gotta say, I definitely think that Kanto is an okay region, but it's definitely not up there with some of my favourites. But I do really love the Kanto region, but there's still quite a few regions left to cover. Okay, now let's move along to the Johto region. And as you can see here, there are quite a few Pokemon in D tier. The main ones that stand out for me are definitely Meganium, Wobbuffet, and Miltank. Meganium because it is just so stupid. I hate this design. It's just so stupid. Wobbuffet because I just hate it when I go up against one when I find one in the wild. Usually he either uses Counter or Mirror Force to repel all of my attacks back, or use his Destiny Bond to just end my Pokemon in a single turn. In C tier, we've got some Lantern, probably because I haven't used it, but I do kind of like its design. We've got Azumarill, because I don't really use Azumarill at all, but I do I like its design, and it's quite good as a HM slave. We've got Skarmory, because Skarmory is actually pretty cool. I like its design, and it's also quite good if you want to use one in competitive. And Octillery's here because, well, I once found a shiny Octillery. I can't remember how I did it. I don't think it was from like a chain fishing, but I think I've got one off of Wonder Trade, or maybe even the GTS. Alright, in B tier, which is like the medium tier, we've got Scizor, because I really like Scizor. Like, it's a decent Pokemon, but it's definitely not one of my all-time favourites. And the same probably goes for Espeon, Ursaring, Houndoom, Entei, Suicune, and, well, Lugia. If I had to pick a lead contender in the B tier, I would probably go with Houndoom, because it just looks so cool. In A tier, we've got Feraligatr, because I do quite like Feraligatr. Like, it's not terrible, but it's not like the best either. Like, I just think it's quite good, and I do really like using Feraligatr, but I prefer using Typhlosion over Feraligatr. Crobat, because Crobat is just so cool, no matter which playthrough you use it in. Like, I wouldn't recommend using it in Gold or Silver, but using it in Gen 4 and onwards, that's probably a good idea. Ampharos, because Ampharos is here because, well, it's got on me out of so many Jet-Ams and I'm using it playing Heart Gold and Soul Silver. That's one of the main reasons why I actually picked it up in my Heart Gold playthrough. Umbreon's here because Umbreon is my favourite evolution of all time. Its design is sleek, it's really cool, has some respectable stats, and has an awesome shiny. Steelix is here because, well, look at its design. It's so cool. Heracross because, well, Heracross is an OP Pokemon, and it's probably a really good in a few playthroughs. Not too many, but it's respectable. And Kingdra is here because, well, back before fairy types even existed, it only had one weakness, Dragon. And Dragon type wasn't easy to get, and it could also learn moves that can counter all of its type weaknesses, so it's a pretty good Pokemon before fairy types were around. Tyranitar's here because, well, it's Tyranitar. Raikou's here because when I was a kid, I was obsessed with Raikou. Like, I really love that Pokemon Chronicles Raikou story. It was just really fun to watch. Ho-Oh because Ho-Oh was the first ever box art legendary that I ever caught. And also its design and the fat axe that Ash saw one before it was even a thing. It's kind of cool. And then in S tier, and the only Pokemon in S tier is Typhlosion. Like, Typhlosion was the very first Pokemon I ever called my own. So it makes sense why I wanted to put it at S tier because, well, it's a really cool Pokemon, the first I ever called my own, and it's also really good in like a playthrough of Heart Gold and Soul Silver. So you can't go wrong with picking a Typhlosion as your first partner. Okay, now we're moving along to the Hoenn region. I have to say, like, I do know that the majority of the Pokemon are in the D tier. However, like, there are quite a lot of Hoenn region Pokemon that aren't that good in Smogon or in a playthrough. But I'd probably say that the most hated Pokemon in the D tier, I would probably go with Castform because, well, it doesn't really serve any purpose. The only purpose that it can actually serve is finding in one of the forces of nature when you're playing Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. In C tier, well, I don't really use any of these Pokemon in competitive or in a playthrough because I don't really see any purpose in me using them. Because they're not all very good in like trainer battles, gym battles, Elite Four, or the champion, and they don't really learn that many good moves. In B tier, we've got quite a few Pokemon, but I've used them a few times, but I haven't used them enough to actually grow as like a sentimental bond with them. However, I will also say the highlights of this tier would probably be Milotic, because I have used Milotic quite a few times, and I did enjoy using it for a while, but unfortunately it didn't learn too many good special moves in order for it to be higher. Like, if it learned more special moves, then maybe I would rank it higher, but it didn't learn too many special attacks. In A tier, we've got quite a wide variety of different Pokemon. Let's see what we got. We've got Latios, because, well, I really love Latios. It's definitely my favourite over the duo. And I definitely think that it's pretty powerful, and I love its signature move, Luster Purge. We've got Salamence because, well, it looks so badass. And it also has a decent Mega Evolution. Yes, I know its design is terrible, but it is very powerful. It's got an ability called Aerialates, where basically all normal attacks are flying moves. So if you have a max happiness Mega Salamence using Return, you're going to be wiping out quite a lot of Pokemon. We've got Groudon, because Groudon is my favourite box art legendary out of Ruby, Sapphire, Omega Ruby, and Alpha Sapphire. And it's also got an awesome Primal Reversion, making its only weakness Ground type, because due to a special ability, all water attacks are cancelled out. Slacking's here because, well, it's an OP Pokemon. That's pretty much it. And the rest I don't really I have much to say other than the other things I said about the other Pokemon. But I will give some special credit to Flygon, because I really enjoyed using Flygon all the times I've used it. But I still think we need to get a Mega Flygon. Like this comment, like this video, not like this comment. Like this video if you think that Flying Icon should get a Mega Evolution. Each like the video gets means it'll happen. Mega Flygon will happen sooner. Okay, in S tier we have Metagross, which is my favourite Pokemon from the Hoenn region, because I just really like its design. It also it's set as that it's smarter than a supercomputer, which I find really cool, and its shiny is so cool. Plus, it has an OP Mega Evolution. By the way, shiny Mega Metagross is my favourite shiny Mega Evolution. Just to put it out there. Or maybe it's shiny Mega Rayquaza. It's a tie. In S tier we have Blaziken, because, well, there's nothing. I just love Blaziken. It's just so cool. It was the first starter I ever called my own when playing a Hoenn game, and I also loved the fact that it has an OP Mega Evolution, and its Mega Evolution's also got a really badass design. And finally, we have Rayquaza, because I think Rayquaza is my favourite legendary Pokemon of all time. So it had to be an S tier. It's got a really nice design, it's really powerful, and it has an OP Mega Evolution. The most powerful Mega Evolution, might I add. It's just the most powerful Pokemon of all, because it can Mega Evolve without holding an item. So that automatically makes it an OP Pokemon. That's probably why I grew such an attachment to Rayquaza. Okay, now I'm moving on to Generation 4, the Sinnoh region. My favourite region. Even though that is my favourite region, there are quite a few Pokemon that I'm not a fan of from that region. I'd say the one that highlights it is Empoleon. It's my third least favourite Pokemon. It's just not cool. It's hideous, has a terrible design, and it just looks, well, incomplete. I think English should get a Mega Evolution. That way, I might like it a little bit more. In C tier, we've got, well, either Pokemon I have never used before, or Pokemon that I've only used a handful of times, but I don't really use them anymore. The main ones for this tier is definitely Floatzel and Skuntank, because I have only used them a handful of times and I've never used them again. In B tier, we've got some Pokemon that I've used more times than C tier, but I don't really use them anymore. The one I probably use the most that's in B tier, I would probably say Abomasnow, because I
I quite like Abomasnow. Like, it's a good Pokemon, but I just wish it was a little bit faster. I mean, yes, it's designed and makes it look like it's really slow, but I would like them to make them a little bit quicker. Okay, in A tier, we've got some pretty good Mons. Like, the main aim and reason, and they're all in A tier, are the same reasons as every other member in the A tier. I really enjoy using them in my Pokemon playthroughs. I use them quite a lot in Pokemon playthroughs, and they're also really, really powerful. I would probably say my favourite in A tier is probably either Garchomp or Gliscor. Garchomp because, well, it's my favourite pseudo-legendary Pokemon, and it also has a decent Mega Evolution design, but it's pretty weak. But I do really love using Garchomp itself because it is a really powerful Pokemon, and it's also helpful in many, many playthroughs. And Gliscor's here because, well, it used to, this one used to actually be one of my favourite Pokemon of all time. When I was a kid, it actually used to be my favourite Pokemon of all time. But that was before I discovered what's in S tier. And finally, what we have in S tier is Infernape, Shock Horror. I don't really need to go over why Infernape is my favourite Pokemon of all time. If you want to find out why Infernape is my favourite Pokemon of all time, I will leave a link in the description to my top 10 favourite Pokemon. Okay, now we're moving on to Unova region. Now, I'm going to say this now. This one's going to be in two parts because unfortunately I couldn't fit all of them in one screenshot because there are quite a lot of Pokemon that I hate in the Unova region. As you can see in the D tier, there are quite a lot of Pokemon that I really, really hate. I would say the main contenders in the D tier have to be Superior because, I mean, look at Superior, like, its design, it's really boring. Like, it's standard mediocre crap. Like, all the Pokemon in the D tier, to me, are all standard mediocre crap. Like, it's just not cool. In C tier, we've got Pokemon that I like more than the ones in D tier, but I'm still not really a fan of. I would probably say the one that I like the most in C tier would probably be Beartic, because like Beartic, it actually looks like it can kill you, but it's terrible in a playthrough or in competitive, so unfortunately Beartic couldn't go any higher. In B tier, we've got some Pokemon that I don't hate, but I don't love either. The main contenders in this one would probably be Zekrom, because, well, Zekrom is the first legendary that I actually caught in the Unova region, and its design is pretty cool, and it's pretty badass. I don't really think there are any other ones in B tier that I absolutely love other than Zekrom or maybe Scolipede. Like, Scolipede's kind of cool, but it's only useful with its hidden ability. In A tier, we've got Emboar, because Emboar was the first Pokemon that I actually called my own when I played a Unova region game. And I also really enjoyed using it, considering it's the most hated out of the three. Then we've got Gigalith. I really like Gigalith. Like, it's pretty cool, but it's basically the Golem ripoff. It's got a better shiny than Golem. I'll give it that. Other than that, there aren't any too many main contenders. Like, I feel the same way as I do like the others in A tier. Like the strong contenders in A tier have to be Emboar, Ferrothorn, Chandelure, Bishop, and Hydreigon, because they're all really cool Pokemon, and they're also I've grown a bond towards quite a lot of those Pokemon. Like, I've used them quite a few times when I played a Unova game. However, there are two Pokemon in S tier that I haven't showed you yet. Now, these are the only two Pokemon that I absolutely adore in the Unova region, and that is Volcarona and Zoroark. Volcarona is my favourite Pokemon of the Unova region. It looks like a pseudo-legendary Pokemon because it evolves at a really high level. But I still really love it. It's really good and competitive. And I also really love its sheer power. And it also has a really unique type in Fire and Bug type. Zoroark's here because I loved the Zoroark movie. And I really wanted to use a Zoroark in Black and White, but unfortunately I missed the event. So I couldn't get a Celebi in time in order to get my Zoroark. But when Black and White 2 came around, we were able to actually obtain a Zoroark. So that made me really happy, and I grew an attachment to Zoroark ever since. Okay, now we're moving on to Generation 6. I know there aren't many Pokemon in these tiers, but as you can see in the other tiers, I only included Pokemon that could fully evolve, or Pokemon that weren't able to evolve. So I decided just to cut out the middleman and just go straight to all of the Pokemon that are fully evolved or couldn't evolve. That way it would make things a lot quicker, and it would save quite a few spots in the tiers. In D tier, we've, well, got a lot of Pokemon because I don't really like any of these Pokemon. Like, they're all just crap. Absolute, utter crap. There isn't really any other way to put it. Like, they're all crap. In C tier, we've got Pokemon I've used, like, a handful of times, like maybe once or twice, but I don't really like. Like, the one I used the most is definitely Heliolisk, but it's the only reason I use Heliolisk is because I need a decent electric-type Pokemon, and the only other electric-type Pokemon in the game, they're not useful at all. Sorry if you can hear a plane in the background, my windows are open, and we're literally not that far from an airport. In B tier, we've got, well, Pokemon I don't love, but I don't hate either. The one I probably like the most is Hooper, but I've kind of gone off Hooper, but it's still pretty cool. In A tier, this is where it gets interesting. Like, in A tier, we've got quite a few Pokemon that I actually really like. We've got Talonflame because it is a really badass flying iron regional bird. I love all the regional birds. Well, not all of them, but I like the majority of them anyway. And my favourite one is definitely Talonflame because it is so badass, so cool. However, it needs a better shiny. Clawitzer because I actually managed, believe it or not, I got a perfect IV shiny, competitively made Clawitzer from the GTS. I know this sounds bizarre, but I actually did. And I didn't, all I asked was I put one of my Pokemon up for trade, and all I asked was for a Clawitzer. And they gave me a Clawitzer that is pretty much ready to go for Smogon. We've got Tyrantrum, because Tyrantrum was the first fossil Pokemon I called my own when playing the games. And it's probably my favourite fossil Pokemon. And we also got Sylveon, because Sylveon is really OP. And I also really like using it against my opponents using Pixelate Hyper Voice, using the Pixie Plate, or whatever it's called. And the rest, I can pretty much say about all of the others, but I'd only say the first four are the main contenders, other than Noivern, because I love using Noivern. I just wish I could use it earlier game in X and Y. And in S tier, no surprise, is Aegislash and Greninja. Aegislash is obviously my favourite out of all of them, because Aegislash is just such a badass Pokemon, and a very OP Pokemon, might I add. Greninja's here because, well, it's the same aim as Aegislash. It's cool, it's OP, and it also has an amazing shiny. I've always wanted to get my hands on a shiny Greninja. Haven't found one just yet, but I will find one eventually. And finally, we have Generation 7, the Alola region. Okay, in D tier, well, I'm pretty sure it's pretty self-explanatory. Quite a lot of Pokemon in here are just weak, pathetic, and useless. And I'll probably say my least favourite Pokemon from the D tier is definitely a Primarina. Primarina is actually my second least favourite Pokemon, If you weren't keeping track, my third was Empoleon, second was Primarina, and first was Miltank. But still, Primarina, to me, it's just not cool. It might earn some pretty good attacks, but that's pretty much all it's got going. Like, I just don't like Primarina. Like, it's just not cool. In C tier, we've got our Pokemon that I've used a handful of times, other than Melmetal. Like, I've never used Melmetal, so I don't really have an attachment to it. And I haven't used Decidueye at all, so I don't have an attachment to it either. But the others I've used a handful of times, but I don't really have an attachment to it. In B tier, we've got Pokemon that I don't mind, but don't hate either. I've never actually used a Zeraora. Like, I don't have one. I really want one, but I missed the event and I don't have one. But it doesn't really bug me. Oh well. Can you tell it bugs me a little? But I will probably say my favourite ones from this B tier is probably either... I think it's a tie between Mimikyu and Alolan Marowak, because they're both really powerful in their own ways. One's good and competitive, the other is just, the best, I would probably say it's as the decent Alola form. In A tier, we've got, Incineroar, which is probably the highlight of the some tier. And I really, really like Incineroar. It's probably my favourite starter, because I don't really use the other two starters, because I hate Primarina and Decidueye's useless. So I always pick Litten and use Incineroar. I really like using Incineroar, and it's also really, really powerful. I can say about the other members in the A tier, because I use them a lot, they're really powerful, and I do enjoy using every single member on the A tier. And finally, we have the S tier, and the winners of this S tier are Duskform, Lycanroc, and Naganadel. Unfortunately, I couldn't find Ash Greninja, so I had to make do with what I had. So, if Ash Greninja were on this in the options I chose, I would have happily gone with Ash Greninja in S tier, but it wasn't an option on the website I used. Duskform Lycanroc is in the S tier because it's my favourite event Pokemon ever. I've always wanted to see what they could do if they combined Midday and Mid-Form Lycanroc. Not Midday and Mid-Form. Midday and Midnight form Lycanroc, and they did pretty well. I'm not going to lie, I really like what they did. And Naganadel's here because, it's my favourite Ultra Beast. Plus, I also have a Poipole and a shiny Naganadel. I love both of them. It's probably my favourite shiny Ultra Beast. Both of them are really, really good, and I can't imagine liking one over the other in S tier, because I really love them both. But in my favourite in Alola, it has to be Duskform Lycanroc in this website. If Ash Greninja was an option, I would have said that Ash Greninja is my favourite Pokemon on the Alola region. But I had to make my second option with Duskform Lycanroc.
And there you have it, guys. Hope you enjoyed this video as much as I did. And be sure to let me know down in the comment section below if you agreed with any of the Pokemon that I put in the tiers, or if you would rearrange them in any way, shape, or form. Be sure to let me know down in the comment section below, because we can get a little conversation going, and I really like having a conversation with you guys. I do have other tier lists planned, so if you want me to make another tier list, be sure to let me know down in the comment section below, because I actually have quite a few planned, and I would definitely think that you would enjoy them as much as I did, because making these tier lists is actually really, really fun. If you want to figure out where I make these tier lists, the link to the website is down in the description below. If you enjoyed this video as much as I did, be sure to give it a massive thumbs up, comment down below, share this video with a friend, and if you're new, subscribe to my channel. It's been Inferno today. Okay, that's all from me, so until the next time, this is Infernape, signing off. Bye!